Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Hey, good evening, everyone. First item on the agenda is approval of the minutes from February 27th, 2024. Everybody get a chance to review the minutes?
Yes.
And I have a motion to approve the minutes.
No. No, I make a motion to correct the minutes. because I
Make
was
a motion
present.
to correct. You want to add
Yes, admin.
your name to the
I
last
wasn't on
one? Yes, Ron? If that's it, we make a motion to approve.
Yeah, that's when you get.
Do we have a second?
Second.
On favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved with the change. All right, second line on the agenda, we have. It's up here. We have a sketch plan, WB Homes, 4-lot subdivision on Berry Road.
Good evening.
Chris, if you could introduce your project.
Sure.
And members, please.
So, my name is Chris Canavan. I'm president of WB Homes. We are the owners of a 10-acre parcel of ground off of Barry Road. It's an interior property that has a 50-foot lane going back to it, just offset from New Galena Road, and then Railroad Avenue would be on this direction on the plan. The property is in the SR2 zoning district. We are proposing to develop it with 2.1 to 2.5 acre lots, all serviced by public water and sewer. The public sewer, as you know, runs across along Barry Road now, so we're connected to that. Public water terminates currently at the intersection of New Galena, Barry, and New Galena. We would plan on extending it one property over and into our site. Pretty simple plan. 4 large 2+ acre lots. One of the features that runs through the site is the natural gas pipeline underground. And it was noted on the review letter that that area on those that would be excluded from the lot area calculation, so that we would still need 2 acres plus the easement area, which we can accomplish. We do have a small riparian corridor and the edge of floodplain soils and a stream on the backs of lots 2 and 1. Those areas will obviously be being removed from and calculated properly within your ordinance. And then we would plan on collecting all the stormwater in one detention basin on the back of that lot. So we have received a review letter from Mr. Bernard's office. I will note, and I'll be happy to go through any of the comments that you would like to discuss. But they are all will comply items under the zoning section and are will comply primarily under the subdivision land development section until we get to page 3. So if there's anything on page 1 or 2 that anybody would like to discuss with me, I'd be happy to. Page 3, the items I'd like to discuss would be generally scope and design of the extension of the private lane into the property, just to make sure before we go to preliminary engineering, we receive some direction and we don't design in the wrong direction.
I just had one question, page 2 at the end.
Yes.
Proposed private street extends existing paved stub road with 2 existing residential driveways accessing it.
Yes.
We're talking about the 2 existing neighbors.
Correct. And they both have, although they have frontage on Barry Road, when those houses were built, they took access onto the stub. There is no recorded easement. There is no recorded documentation granting them legal rights to go out that, but they have maintained that section since the original subdivision of this back in the late 60s and early 70s. Our intention would be, we'll extend that. We would then work out and it's suggested in the letter we would need to, but a formalized access easement for them, and then a formalized maintenance agreement amongst all of the property owners that are currently using that road. And we have met with both of them several times today. Most recently, we were out there and we were talking with them.
So you would incorporate them in the association?
I'm not sure if we will do a full association or we might do this with a declaration of covenants and restrictions, because there's really no common ground other than the management of the driveway. That's something we can resolve with the engineer's office and the solicitor.
I'd rather separate that, because the HOA would take care of the school water.
Right.
facilities. Really, they shouldn't be responsible.
And really, they shouldn't be an equal share of the roadway either, because they really only have, they're only really accessing 75 feet of the road, not the remainder of it. So I think we'll come up with a fair share arrangement with them that we will then share and review with the township. All right, so moving on to page 3, it'll be the second item down, which is private streets and the design. What we have designed is very similar to the road configuration of the development that's adjacent to our old work project that we developed along Schoolhouse Road. There's the 5-lot subdivision that was designed with a 20-foot wide roadway and a hammerhead at the end for the 5 lots. Our proposal here, we have 4 lots, large lot singles. We have proposed to keep the impervious down to, minimize the impact on the property, to install basically a 20-foot wide road with a hammerhead at the end of it in a similar design. We throw that out there as a possible design that would require waivers from your standard street designs. But we think it's more appropriate for the level of impact and design and density that we're putting in here. If it's the preference and you prefer to see a road designed to the Saldo standards, we are willing to do that also. We're just following suit with what was recently approved to see if that's appropriate. If it isn't, we will go back to a standard roadway design.
Does that affect the review requirement?
Yeah, that's, so,
Hammerhead versus.
that's what he preferred. If we don't do a standard, he has accepted this. He hasn't signed off on this.
Right.
I believe the engineer knew that. So they.
And I would reiterate too, we are at least in a position from an emergency service standpoint, we will have public water available for them also with hydrants, et cetera.
Does the hammerhead mean you have to back up and like?
You'd have to make a 3-point turn to get out, correct, rather than circling through the poles.
The reason we did it on the other project was to preserve trees. Based on other applicants coming in with this design, basically through that project. That's all comes down.
Your DC, yes.
It wasn't unanimous. So I think vote on it. Preserving trees, natural resources. And so that kind of governed, I think, the board went that direction. We've already received some complaints about that parking. I have that in other townships, but in these larger lots, typically the houses aren't that close in. We do have needs in this one, the gas lines. For the other larger 2-acre lots, driveways are quite long. No issue.
These are still considerably long.
Unfortunately, we get people who usually moving from the city up north, and they expect parking everywhere. Dave's already had to deal with an issue. I'm not married to this design. I'm sure they'll do whatever applies. It does save impervious. It does reduce the impervious coverage for the whole area. So it's good. It's just good to know the difference.
And maybe a modification of that is more appropriate to have a 24-foot wide road than a 20-foot wide road that gives you a little bit more maneuverability. I mean, we're open to that. It's really the question of, it doesn't strike me as this is appropriate for a full width curb, sidewalk, full-size cul-de-sac for the number of lots that are there. But if this is, considered too narrow, we would be, that can be something that we can evaluate also.
Probably. This design? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the cul-de-sac for you would. Well, this is, if you do it this way, you see in the HOA, you don't need to worry about, there's not much power.
Yeah.
There's no curbs, you don't think they're curbs, so there's less damage. I mean, I don't think Janine and I go back and forth on this, and we kind of left up with township and planning commission for it. I think they're willing to do just like the other developer would do what he wants, but I don't really see a need for the curb and full blown design. If we want to do more of the cul-de-sac style with 24 foot, that's fine, but all you're doing is adding some impervious,
Right.
and I don't know what you're really gaining.
Let's make-
You're almost making it wide enough for people to try to park.
Right.
I'd rather than not, that's where I believe Randy has no parking allowed. So it's very clear that.
No parking, and I think, and in your comment, you mentioned we'd only showed 10 foot wide driveways, we would have complied with the code of going to a 12 foot wide driveway for each of the individual houses, which will give them appropriate capacity for, you know, the guests to park in their driveways. Their driveways are all, you know, a minimum with the, you're gonna have 50 plus another 10, 60 foot back to the 3-car garage. I mean, there's a sufficient amount of parking in driveways for a reasonable number of guests too. And I'd say from the snow plowing standpoint, in a development like this, the homeowner, the community association, or whoever's plowing that driveway is more than likely plowing all the driveways that are within there too. So it's one cohesive, you know, activity.
To me, the only option would be, if you don't like this, would be we'll go to.
No, that was just a question. It was
No, I'm
just a
saying
question
that's-
between the two.
And then some people prefer that.
Less macadam, the better it is.
Private, yes, this would be a private street, yes. And there's no other discussion on that. We'll follow that feedback. I mean, obviously, we know that's subject to full review when it comes in and opinions can change, but we're at least trying to get guidance at this point. I would also just note number 13, as a 4-lot subdivision, I don't think the township would be looking for the 10,000 square feet of parkland within one of these areas, so we would be proposing to do the fee in lieu of, unless someone felt strongly that there was some piece of this 10-acre site that would be appropriate for that. Hearing none, moving on. And that was the extent of my presentation, and be happy to take any feedback.
It's a very long review letter.
Are you proposing streetlights?
We are not proposing any streetlights at this point. When we get into preliminary land development, we would be happy to work with the engineer's office if we need something at the intersection. More than likely, we would put individual driveway lamps for the houses if necessary.
No, all the houses be lit up like a runway?
We would prefer none to.
But
Yeah.
did you decide that? or-
We don't get to, we do not put the uplightings and all the other things that some people do with their landscape lighting. That's really post-builder add-ons that we don't really have any. That is not how we design the houses.
Give you a heads up, may have control over it, but most likely be a condition.
But what do they limit the uplighting on? Okay.
Right, it's very. If someone to get quite large and, you know, it's very common.
That low voltage lighting is huge package for some people.
Yes.
Obviously.
So, but I know you want to work with this.
That's not a standard that we install. We'd be happy to.
There might, there'll probably be a restriction. And then we've gone different directions, driveway lamp posts versus street light. Based on Berry Road, we may have a street light, but we can discuss that.
Right. Okay.
Everybody wants to weigh in. Driveway lamp posts. Fine with that.
I'm just for, you know, less lighting and zones, everything.
And I would leave it to, if we have, I mean, my preference would be to leave it to the individual homeowner based on whatever standard the township requires of us for that, and then let them install. If they prefer to have a light, that's fine. If not, you know, we do install, you know, garage light and a front door light. That's about the extent. Some townships do require to put a street lamp in every single driveway. Get excessive.
No. At most, it would be one at the intersection of Berry and then driveway lamp.
Any other?
No, what, you have any questions? This is a sketch plan, so.
Yeah.
But, everybody good? Members of the public? If you can just state your name and your address, please.
Hi, I'm Carol Boyd, 217 Euclina Road, and I think it's great that you're doing this with the zoning. Thank you.
I think last time you saw me was not with that.
It's great.
My name is Dennis Burns from 242 New Galena Road. And I was just questioning, you had mentioned that you're sending all the stormwater into the retention pond.
Correct.
and then overflowing that somewhere or holding it all?
It would be into a detention basin, then per the township ordinance, 2-year storm events get managed on site and the remainder of the stormwater will be discharged into the adjacent channel that runs on the corner. It's where it currently goes. We would be regulating the flow so as not to, in most cases, we'll be decreasing the rate and of the flow coming off the site. Well, all cases.
We're directly downstream of
Right.
that.
And you currently get all the runoff from this property through that stream. What we end up having to design for, and actually, as noticed for people, we've notified the township, we will be out there doing infiltration testing on Thursday for the property. We have to do a stormwater management design that manages the flow on this site so that we do not increase the rate of flow coming off of the site post-construction based on the amount of impervious and the additional improvements that we do on there. And Mr. Kennard's office will make sure that that happens along with the Bucks County Conservation District. We have to get a stormwater permit for the site. Yes. Yes, ma'am.
So you're saying that it would hit that corner in the upper left?
This big ovalish shaped site would be the stormwater basin.
Because that line there, that's our property line?
Right here,
No, actually, all the way far left,
right here.
like down, yeah, like down. that's
So
all-
you folks are down this direction.
We're on the other side of
The other side, okay, then this is yours as a permit. Right. Correct.
Yeah, so how would that, because there's already a creek that.
Well,
runs
that's what,
there and
the basin will be, so the creek is right about on the common property line. It falls partly on ours and then it weaves its way onto yours. The basin will be up slope of that creek on our property, intercept the stormwater. We'll also probably have some inlets and pipes that pick it up from the roadway, gather it in the stormwater basin, and then it would discharge into that stream after it's been detained.
The reason why I'm asking too is, we have a spring house there from the 1700s, so I don't know if it would be like waterfall, like water in a storm going into this stone, it's got like a
Right.
open dome and so
I know, we would not be discharging anything onto your property. For sure.
So you're doing, we talked to that staff, are you gonna go to individual basins?
Based on our infiltration testing on Thursday, and we may end up with some individual basins and one larger back here that may manage the common improvement and then individualized, or since these are very upstream and then we have the easement, we may need to capture it down there. That's sort of still in the air until we have the testing. I prefer to go more individualized, but we'll see.
I'd recommend, once you guys have a concept, that we just have an.
Yeah.
So we can go up instead of having all that redesign.
I appreciate that.
Just- I agree with you, it's kind of split up where normally you would have individual bases for each of these. I believe that's how Castle. did it. But the way this is set up, the slope where the creek is.
You've got an appropriate spot to discharge to it. Yeah,
Right,
down the
so,
hill.
yeah, just, we can be.
Perfect. We'll schedule it after we get the testing done.
Any other questions? I think it's a good layout for the track. I think
That's right.
I was just curious, where's the pipeline?
The gas pipeline is, the two lines here are the outer easement, and then there's a dual pipeline that runs through the middle of it. There's two gas lines.
it's gonna be just like Julius. It's gonna be just like Julius.
Pipeline's haunting me. I just finished a 36 unit project in Hatfield Township. The exact same pipeline ran through that project also.
Can get away from it. Yeah, I mean, again, it's a sketch plan, we're not the road, but I think you see the direction we're going. I think the issue that, right, the lighting issue.
Good to know on the lighting, and then we'll get together on the stormwater.
So no one's here, it's good to have the driveways, you've already met with them.
I've already met with them. And I informed them today when I met with them, the meeting was tonight, and so they were aware of it.
If you go to the board, I don't even memorialize, whether they show up or not, but before we make it into more issues. And if they're in support of everything you described, which I am,
Good.
that's fine. Maybe you can memorialize and then put that to bed, or if they show up.
Okay.
I'm just.
I would have thought they would be
I'm s-
interested too. I've met with them several times, so I'm not sure if they have too many questions, so.
Yes.
And that's fine, I just,
Yes,
I want
Which
that to
one?
happen.
it was, Miss, Fausti.
She said she was gonna try to make it, but she couldn't. The other neighbor didn't seem to be. So. They're actually interested in the water line being extended.
For Connor, if they do the board schedule plan, I'd rather work out meetings. And I like their input, if they go to the board, those are the issues. I think it's good.
Yeah, I mean, it's.
So you won't see this till.
So that was gonna be my next question, would, let me clean this up with the feedback we have, right? Get some feedback from the neighbors, have our stormwater, and maybe do a conceptual stormwater design to beef up this sketch plan, and then we'll come back with the board of supervisors. Okay, perfect. It's been,
Can we take a look at the map after the meeting?
I will even give it to you when we walk out of the hall, so then you can take it with you. Okay,
Hi, Chris.
very good, thank you.
Appreciate it.
I can torture Mr. Shaftowitz and keep talking for a while, but I'm sure he wants to get home as well, so.
It's not all.
Have a good night.
Each other.
Sometimes start.
This guy's. All right, second item on the agenda, we have the Butler Pike development, proposal car wash. This is also going to be a sketch plan.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Chris came as a tough act to follow. My name is Steve Chadwick. I know I probably did here before for the same properties. I don't know if anybody is curious about, unfortunately, what happened, but, and I really appreciate everybody who did at this stage, gave great feedback for what was hopefully going to, we thought might be a Duncan. Fortunately, the corporate didn't give us the approvals we needed to do that. So we'll punish them by not, usually a coffee. So, just by way of background, so the client who was Duncan franchisee is the owner of the property. They've entered into a contract with John Lombardo's company, who's here with me tonight, Spotless Brands LLC, which is a car wash company based out of the Washington DC, Northern Virginia, Maryland area. It's a very big operation, and they're slowly moving their organization up this way, looking at pieces of property and looking for potential development sites. So this site became one of them. I mean, you guys are familiar with it on the corner of Butler and County Line Road. Part of what we took from the previous discussion in looking at the development for the site is there were some very specific things that came out of it. And as the old Wawa, it was a very difficult site when it talking about access from Butler Pike. So when we talked to John and his company about designing this potential car wash to the site, we looked at the idea of maintaining that egress only, right turn only on the Butler Pike. We came up with a design that was originally submitted as part of the actual sketch plan application, which had the building up front along Butler Pike, had what are the vacuums in the middle, and then the drive through around the rear of the site. We got some feedback, which was very positive, and then also decided to come up with a couple of other concepts. The original concept did require some zoning, because the building wasn't allowed to be in the front yard the way it was proposed. And there were some other items, and some which are waiver items that to do with the overlay district. So we decided to look at a couple other options. So we're really looking for tonight as really being a pure sketch plan exercise where we have some options. And based on those options, we'd like to get some guidance from you of what we should pursue. So, if I may, let me trip over. This was essentially the plan that we submitted originally to sketch. At the the building up front, which is about a 4,000 square foot tunnel. We did offer some architecture that went with it and some kind of 3D imaging, just to give a sense of what might look like with the building up front against the road. We know under the overlay district, really not the best idea or not favored. But I think being the entrance corner of the township with Wawa being a couple of properties down, we were ultimately gonna try to mirror the architecture. I mean, I know Wawa's not like the shining star of architecture, but just in the design stage, we use some of those features of stone. That kind of thing. So we wanted to give everybody a sense of what that might look like. We have the entrance on the Butler Pike, ingress and egress, circle around the site, enter the tunnel from out, and then this parking area is where the vacuum booths would be, and they're free to customers. And then we were just maintaining the exit of the Butler as bypass lane, escape for that particular location. Like I said, we got some feedback and looked at these two other options. As it turns out, both of these options eliminate some of the variants, if not all the variants you need with this site, this particular layout that we thought. So do you want me to just give you the one we like better? Or, give you that feedback? Oh, yeah, if you guys haven't seen this,
That's the one you sent us, right?
yeah.
Oh, yeah, they can.
Well, this is both of them?
Yes. My friendly assistant Scott Mills will be the engineering. Scott's our site designer and planner. Put these sketches together, so there's things you really don't like. So, also, just by way, I'm sorry my back's to you guys. John Navarro is with Spotless Screens. If there happens to be questions operationally, John would love to tell you about the company, tell you about how they operate, tell you about how they envision this thing to operate, and the type of company they are. Al Federico is our traffic engineer. I know these types of sites in this location specifically has traffic concerns. It's interesting that Al and I go to a lot of townships and we hear about 1 million accidents that occur at that location. This one we know they occur. And I lived in the area off of Coach Lake Court for a while and very familiar with this location and what went on there. So when the board told us that we had to look at that access other, that both this client and the prior client took it very seriously. So the one I wanted to maybe draw some more attention to is the one where we move the building in the center of the site. What the reasons why we look at this from a circulation standpoint that we like it a little bit better is because we get the ingress and egress off of the county line and then no access whatsoever off the pump up. We're able to bring customers into the right, into the stacking area that is way more than sufficient. And then they can come through the tunnel. And then when they leave, they're not conflicting with people that are coming in. And this also gives us the ability to do the bypass or escape lane for people that wanted to leave, for whatever reason, have to leave the drive-through area, so to speak. And then again, the area in the back is for vacuums and stuff like that. One of the things that we still kind of need to work out, depending on which design we go for, is, should there be parking? Generally, I think car wash doesn't really require much parking, but we know there'll be 1 or 2 employees on the site, not much more than that. We know we had to deal with trash loading and unloading. This is not a 24/7 operation, so we can probably get trash, private hauler to pick up off hours and stuff like that. So those are some other things we need to refine. Other things like I heard in the previous application, lighting and light. Also depending on which of the designs we like, how to deal with landscaping and things along those lines. So those will be, they're topics of discussion. They're things that will have to come back to you guys to look at. But we're just trying to kind of figure a way around what we use. Some of the other things we know that are going to be critical for the site on this corner is we talked about with the prior application to sign feature on the corner about welcome to Britain, that kind of thing. This applicant still committed to that idea. If this particular design work best, it kind of creates an interesting, flow for pedestrian type traffic in terms of the sidewalk along the frontage, no interference with, at people are coming in and out of the site from the Butler Pike area. I know there's, people may not necessarily traverse to this particular, but Co-Brothers coming in. It might, whether it makes it a little bit easier to walk based on getting Wawa or what have you. It creates kind of a cleaner view, might create a cleaner streetscape, make it still do more interesting things from a landscape perspective. We're going to worry about site triangles and those types of things. So at this stage, I probably already said too much. I know we have a letter from Craig's office. I didn't see a lot of reason going into detail. We know what's in there. We know the things that we have to kind of address, but I think we'll be able to refine the comments based on if there was a particular design or layout that we can go through some pros and cons and see which we might prefer. Just not to ignore the last version, as we had the third layout. This one had the building in the rear of the property, had the stacking in front with the parking area or vacuum games in the middle. I think there's, again, there was a theory of, yes, that one needs some zoning relief with the building in front, hides everything behind it, right? This one with the building in the middle, at least with the parking and all that stuff is sitting behind it. One of the other things I wanted to mention, and John can probably shed more light on it, is we have a client who's also, I guess flexible is the right word, Mark. We know some of these things could look really crappy, and we know some of these can look really good. We have a client who has the resources to make it look really good, and we know we submitted some architecture with the original sketch review. Again, that was just more of a design feature that is a product that they installed in other locations, but it's not set in stone. I don't sit here today saying, hey guys, that's what it's gonna look like. We can work on it. Work on it with the staff, with supervisors. We know that we're in Bucks County, we know that there's certain requirements, and we know what, like I said, Wawa had to do, kind of meet some of that criteria, and that this is an important corridor from that perspective. So we have a client, we have an applicant who's willing to work with
It's our gateway.
yes, yeah, and we wanted, and that, again, it's just me, I'm just a lawyer, I'm not a planner, I'm not like, but that was the only reason when I talked to the client about encouraging whether the building should be up front, was for that reason. But part of me now thinks is that maybe a better gateway was created with the no access on Butler, better landscaping, streetscaping it, sign, and then, of course, the use wants some visibility, but we can do a lot to kind of screen it with some landscaping, variety of things. That's Scott's forte. Like I said, we know what you do. Yeah, a lot to take in.
Car wash and that parcel.
Yes. And I guess maybe it's interesting. The way this works is, see, the building gets a little bit smaller from the footprint, but what they do is they still bump out, there's an office that goes to the second floor, so kind of keeps the footprint a little smaller, but it's a full service tunnel. So it's not, I've seen those ones where people come in, they sit in their car and just goes back and forth, or they wash it themselves. This is a full service operation, so I don't know, I guess the customer can stay in the car, doesn't have to travel through the tunnel. Comes out, if they want to use the bathrooms, they're there, if not, they can exit.
Cars typically fit built. Like my car.
No, there's multiple cars. So that's 100. It's 100, so it's probably about 3 cars.
What would your employees?
I don't see, that's hard to allocate. We have, a room here for in this particular layout, for a vacuum that we might be able to convert to parking for employees or use. But like I said, I think John would tell you that it's only 1 or 2 employees at a time. Everything's kind of automated. There is a pay station. People come in, they can use it themselves. Like nothing any different than when you left the parking garage. You might like take your ticket, put it in, have your credit card in there. It's that kind of thing. Or, you know, they may have one person there, one person in the tunnel to make sure things are moving. The part that's interesting, I know, sorry, John, bring this up,
You're doing great.
but the one I use now is on Fortune Road, where they have an army of people that so what, you wait, you go in, they're vacuuming for you, you come out, they're wiping the car down, so you have 8 or 10 employees there. They don't do that. So it's really just somebody making sure the operations are moving, and somebody who's helping with the police station. And that could be 1 or 2 people. So that's the difference between, I think, so.
So what you been? Well, there's a lot of sketches.
Yeah, I know.
With
I'm trying to overwhelm you guys to start with.
With the option, the one that you're leaning towards, you still need some variances for that, right?
Well, I know one of the things that we talked briefly with Dave about was these buildings in the back do have a concrete kind of foundation to them. And that would be considered a structure in the setback. So that is a variance, but the existing wall, I think, is up against the property boundary. So it's kind of reducing enough conformity kind of thing, but it's still potentially trip that's really here. Scott, I don't know if you remember or any other
Well, they're
minor things.
they're kind of considered existing nonconformities, but depending on, and I think Craig had in his letter, you know, the minimum lot area for this use is 2 acres in general. In this district, it's 1 acre. The property is 0.65 acres. So no matter what you do, you're going to need zoning relief for that. The minimum lot width is about 100, 150 feet. Requirement's 200, 250 feet. So, you know, again, it's an existing nonconformity. No matter what you do here, you need a sense of relief for that. Yeah.
For almost 8 years.
Right.
I think with any of the options, you still have the 20-foot setback. Or, for the building. 2104G5. Parking is less than 20 feet from the actually. That's the original sketch.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting that, you know, from the vacuum standpoint, you know, that's a technical issue in terms of exact parking, because it's very.
Well, that's where I was gonna go. I didn't wanna like get into the argument right now, but
No, no.
if they're part of your work, it requires 26 spaces. They either part of the operation or the parking or recreation, either. You gotta, I'm assuming you're counting the parking space. That's what I'm going, like, you're getting variance for that, or then either way, they're too close to the building.
Right, which I think was similar to the Duncan thing.
You just had someone else come in there, they went and got a variance for that.
Yeah, it's interesting because there's a parking requirement, we have these stalls that can operate as parking if need be, but we don't have any need for regular parking. You know, I mean, unless they're front of back.
I agree,
So it's like kind of a catch-22, but yeah.
but the orders requires that.
Yeah,
So you're going to the zoning, you're, that's how you're going about it.
Yeah, I get
Yeah,
it.
and
Once we figure it out,
when I read the parking requirements, I was a little confused because the way it's written is for service station or car wash. And then you see it's got a couple subsections and it says with car wash or without. So it's almost, you get the impression or interpretation it's for the service station and whether or not it has a car wash. So it's, to me, there's a little bit of a gray area, but I'm not zoning, so I don't know. I don't make that call, so.
Then I would just go interpretation of the zoning officer you're going to.
I did look at that about 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
My question. It actually is clear once you read it, but I don't understand why it's written.
Yeah.
We're in there.
Right.
I don't know.
Is it square footage based in the building?
With car wash it is, without it's not.
Yeah.
So like if we're down to 3,100 square feet building, is it?
Maybe 17.
We have 18, so we may not need.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
Dave saying go to the zoning, you would decide if compliant.
Yeah, I think there's too much of a gray area where the zoning hearing will. That's just.
Can you bring a planning to put as many trees as we're showing?
That was kind of further developed when we were making the submission for this. We'll certainly look to see what we can do and maximize what we can for landscaping and buffering and screening so that you don't see, or you see as little of certainly the lanes there in front. We are still proposing, similar to what Walla did, the piers with fence in between, to help with the facade of the street and curb feel there.
Yeah, it's hard to see here, but I think on the 3D rendering, maybe along the frontage here, which would be maintained here, is actually from here all the way through. Is it that same kind of fencing you have with Wawa with the stone piers? Is it split red?
No, it's like a wrought iron, probably aluminum, but it will look like wrought iron.
Yeah.
Turn in from either direction, turn out either way.
And that'll let us.
I
That's not
don't
a great
see,
intersection.
I don't see making a left County Line Road.
Not that.
You're crossing 3 lanes.
Yeah, whatever they.
You can't do that. Plus you got all the traffic exiting right up the street.
Right.
On top of that, so you got potential 2 cars making it up at the same time.
The new Wawa
The
just
Wawa
access
exits on
further
County
up.
Line Road.
Oh, right, the back exit.
Is CVS trying to do your street?
You can't make a
You
left.
can't make a left to.
You can't make a left to go north. County Line. You cannot. If you're coming out of CVS, you only make a right towards the east.
I go out the other, I never go out
Don't
that
tell
way.
anybody, don't tell anybody.
No, I never go out that way. That's because. No,
Yes.
thanks.
Mikey said they're alive.
I'm okay.
Yeah, absolutely, you know, again. It's PennDOT call. I know Al would tell you that they did a preliminary, scoping and, traffic study with the original plan. Believe it or not, they believe this use will actually have less impact than the Dunkin' would have in terms of overall traffic, so. Al, maybe you want to fill everybody in on what you've got on that part so far, or with your.
I mean, with the previous, we did submit a scoping to PennDOT with previous Dunkin's Papa John use. We did the traffic study, was submitted to PennDOT, the township. While I don't recall getting a review from the township, PennDOT did approve the traffic study and authorize us to move forward with the exit-only access, the right turn access on the Butler, and the county line access that did prohibit entering left turns. They did allow that they would consider exiting left turns if we could document based on studies that there's adequate gaps. The study is in progress. We haven't really pursued that yet, kind of waiting until we saw what the configuration is. I have a high level of confidence that we could get approved with the same configuration as last time. If we do try to get left turns out onto County Line Road, that'll probably, they'll be a little more involved. But again, nothing, this traffic study is in the process of being updated, so we don't actually have results, other than the fact that, the Dunkin' and Papa John's generated less than Wawa, and this is going to generate less than the Dunkin' and Papa John's. So it's a appreciable decrease in the traffic being generated by this site. And, at a minimum, there's going to be some restrictions, if not a complete abandonment of the Butler Pike access, which, from a safety perspective, should be beneficial. But I think, kind of what you're saying about the county line road access, I seem to recall from the last time we were here. I understand what you're saying.
So the reason we didn't review from us or township was because we supported. When you went to get your variances, we already worked out that is a key to the board.
Yeah.
Beyond 90%. Because whether or not they were gonna put that application, why didn't you use the same layout? Did someone say why? Because that was the issue. Yeah, the configuration of the country. I agree with almost everything you said. That was kind of the part of the deal. Not the deal.
No, no,
That
no.
was part of the discussion.
Yeah, no,
Discussion.
very good.
Word about.
Yeah, I don't,
So if you pull up the Dunkin' Donut. Zoning hearing board.
yeah, that showed no,
That's my question about. Doing the same configuration.
well, I don't wanna say no, you know what I mean, I think the idea would be, look, if that. I think it's this turning. Right, yeah. It may bring us back to at least having maybe a movement here, but yeah, I don't, we're not trying to do that, with this plan and abandon that here. Because at the end of the day, yeah, maybe PennDOT might be a little flexible, but if township says PennDOT don't be flexible on that, they're gonna deal with it. But that is, look, this is, you guys know this corner, we all know this corner, we know it's problematic, but this actually will work with. Any question?
I mean, I'll just come out and say it's gonna be a tough sell. It's for many reasons. One is there's a lot of relief that's gonna be needed. It's gonna be a traffic issue. Not only coming out of college, but going into college, coming out the entrance. You're still gonna have to make a left if you're coming from the 309 corridor, you're still gonna have to make a left.
You've got a left turn on there.
And then I just don't see it on all these trees and sidewalks and being part of the overlay district. That's just my opinion.
But I think one of the things I would like to propose on that line is, yes, I do want to prove it wrong, but, I understand we don't live here, we don't deal with this on a day-to-day basis, and that's why we're here to talk to you guys. But my thought process would be is if, putting that aside for a minute, if I have my guy saying traffic will be less, be a lot better than it's ever been compared to what was there. And what may be there, it's not us. I can't tell you that, the next vape shop is gonna be easier or better for the township, right? So the question would be, if I could show you a little bit more, like if it was this design or that design or this design, I could show you how that would work. I could show you better architecture, I could show you the landscape, I could show you those things and be happy to come back and work on this together with you guys to get you comfortable with this work. John and his team are the experts in the operation. They know how this, they wouldn't design or come to the site, they wouldn't make it work. But we're not, and they don't believe for a minute that we can overwhelm the site. Personally, like, I hate the idea of showing all these cars on this, because I don't like, I'm sure John hopes it looks like that, but I don't think this person.
There's codes.
Right. I know, Chick-fil-A screwed up car wash, drive-through service.
Dave, so I disagree with one thing. I know when staff meeting, Mike said, ideally the site would be bigger, you have more, a little bit more room to do everything. Did say this is not the ideal site, but he wants to be in this area, he's committed to being in this area. There's a lot of other driving factors that are not an issue. We did acknowledge, we all agree that it's tight. It's not, the site is not ideal. He said he'd like to have a little bit more. So even his operations, he's making it work. He wants to be in this area. It's a good area. Understand what the corporate is. we're gonna run into some issues, because there's still a lot of waivers and other things where. I don't know if you wanna go over it tonight, because we're kind of not getting to the point of, there's a lot of other issues, or pick a new layout, you heard what you got from the, in front of the board, and see, because they include a couple of your variances, and you. Yeah, I think the zoning rules. So they need to focus in on the zone, maybe that's the direction, I didn't feel like I need to give them some directions, and maybe that says, pick a plan, work on the zoning, and they go in front of the board and see if they're gonna, because there's, they tend to, I think it's, you like that? Because I don't want everybody to spin their wheels on some layouts of the driveways and things. Addressing the bigger issue that there's a lot of uncertainty.
Well, yeah, and I think we're just, you know, the way I look at it, again, just for the time frame that I've been doing this, is that I know you're working from the presumption or the first instance that, well, car wash isn't my favorite use for this site. I'm not sure what else could be here, but I understand. So, but if we're working from the idea that maybe a car wash can work on the site, we'll work on the site, we want to make it the best car wash that could possibly be, of course. So that's the only reason I'm saying, you know, look, if it's the worst case scenario, it's your choice for it. You know, if you want me to work something up, I just wanted to know of the layouts, because I think this one I think is the most, some of the zoning relief that's here, except for the parking is eliminated, but that may not be our best design. That is gonna need more zoning relief and maybe a better design overall because of what we can potentially do, you know, or that this is a better design, but it requires a couple smaller, or, you know, we got the argument on parking, we got the argument on pre-existing non-conforming conditions. But I just want to kind of get that sense, so then I can run with A, addressing Craig's issues in this letter, and B, you know, getting you guys happy with it. So there is a lot more that we can, a lot more that you're not seeing now, that I think will help improve the application. That's what my thought. I know we
Just clear up my statement, I'm not opposing the car wash, I'm just, in my mind, it just seems like, yeah, we're trying to make something fit. That really doesn't, not meaning like size wise. Just, that's just my opinion, I would hate to think. But I mean, again, I like Greg's idea for zoning.
Yeah, I mean, we could, I just didn't know, like I said, I'm not looking to push you guys in any direction, just if you had something that said, look, if you're gonna do this, I like A, B, or C. And then when I go to the board, I can at least say, all right, now I can find my review request, I know which ones I'm working with, because I don't wanna come back and say, and do this just because it has the least amount of relief, if it turns out to be the worst design.
I'm taking that, I don't like that.
Yeah,
I don't like the vacuums.
Yeah. So, I mean, like I said, I know that one gets the most relief, but it's not like, I would say go with that. I think this one is kind of in between these. And we could do so much as what we're showing in front of there would be too dissimilar here in terms of screening and other things, you know, fencing and all this stuff. But, you know, and I apologize if it feels like
And I think if you have the fencing and you have shrubberies, I don't think the vacuums will be that conspicuous. I think the building in the front, you can't fence.
yeah, we want to push the building towards
Now,
it.
you're saying you have flexibility in the design of the building?
Yeah.
As far as it includes signage?
Yep.
It includes, looks like you have a neo sign on.
Now, I, well, we'll
Would see the, elevation.
You guys see this one?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, that's this one.
That's the one. Yeah, and that's this.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, we know that there's some work on the colors and this work, signage, and the photo saving. We have some better options than that, but we just wanted to kind of get a picture. And sometimes just the idea of this is what the building will look like, frontage. And we're saying that's the bad spot, we're gonna push it back into the side a little bit further. Then we can make adjustments. And then we make adjustments on the building to show you other architecture. Different color schemes. Because I know in other municipalities that this the flagship's been in, the Spotless Springs has been in, and they take care of it.
I would say it's still in Texas, I see.
No, no. Thank you.
So. So you're okay with the building being built? The option in front there. Definitely need support with the building. You said with the vacuum,
It's not like they can scream. I've been seeing.
so you'd rather have a building in the back.
Yeah, I just feel like it could be more open. And the building in front reminds me of the dam, the river. And all the back cities stores are fixing.
Yeah, I know. Exactly.
That's the color. Then they move it back.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah, just, that's what that reminds me. It's like, if you pull up and you see the big wall. I just feel like the other one gives you an opportunity for the trees, shrubbery and the fencing there. Second, it's conspicuous.
I will say one thing. It was 2 lanes to get in.
Is that a lot?
That's a bit much.
No, it's to get into
And
the problem.
just like there's 2 lanes. You remember.
This goes down to one.
It narrows down.
I went to the car wash. In the Zone Township. There's 2 lanes going in, but I only see 1 car in the room. So it's not like there's 2
Yeah, but
cars.
there's other ones that you see cars stacked out on the street. So really, you need to have enough room for cars to be in there and not
There's one in.
blocking traffic.
Is it?
Yeah.
That's one I see, they won't go back down.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's what, the drawing that doesn't have the exit onto Butler. That means there would only be in and out on county. So then that becomes problematic over that.
Well, like I said, we're not, as Craig said, we're not backing away from any of those things or restrictions that make sense. You know, but that's one thing we have to look at, is that and whether or not this kind of thing still would make sense, just to give people a chance, because, you know, the other thing that we look at is if we're trying to create a little bit of an escape lane too, then this area we could use for something else, you know, kind of thing. Or if we create this as an escape, where we could, you know, if you needed employee parking, less impervious, you know, we could make some other adjustments.
Right.
Yeah, I know it's a tough, but it's, appreciate getting as much feedback.
Any other questions?
You should have brought Chris back.
See what he's doing.
Yeah, I know. We had to get Dave for sure.
I mean, Dave was new, that's a couple $100, that's really. You're down to 4.
Living on that, on that property.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Years ago, that was years ago. Yeah.
Goes there.
Well, that.
He kept falling off. That's what he said.
Oh, where the follow is.
No, this is.
Well, there's no further questions. It's.
I think your best bet.
I appreciate it. Yeah, I would tend to agree, and I want to take an opportunity to kind of clean it up. Get a better picture of what it looks like, but Craig, you're thinking, if you go with that, we can narrow down what our variance request would be, and then go to the board, or you want to, you think we cleaned up, came back. It's up to you. I mean, I know you probably want to see the board so we can get feedback, yeah.
I didn't talk to the manager.
Okay.
I don't know if it's worth to put too much effort into that. You're gonna hear the majority of them say.
Well, I just think there's more that they can see about it.
If you wanna try to sell it more, then, yeah, I mean, they could. Maybe do a rendering of that one, that's the direction. Figure out what variances you need in each option.
Yeah.
I think you just focus on variances.
Yep.
Scott, we can work on that a little bit. But really, it'll come down sounds like it's gonna be shorter, they're just very good records.
All right, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Thank you,
it.
everyone.
Public comments. Public business.
It unfolds full color, with all advertising is all around. Did we have something to get?
Yeah. We have a zoning map.
We do.
Yeah.
That,
I deal with.
You always try to get to-
Some municipalities, it's easier to find them.
Probably in October.
Sure, we are updating our website, but
yeah, it's like a landmark, so I can.
Dave? Business?
not to go on record, no.
Actually, for the record, hopefully, let's see, I don't know if it's gonna be October or November, you'll see a draft zoning amendment, a draft salad amendment. Ops been working with the solicitor and staff, a lot of changes. We haven't attended many of the meetings, we're watching them online, but we made a lot of zoning changes, SADO changes, stuff that the staff has collected over the years. So we're putting it all together, so there's looking for authorization. That we go for, what we're doing is to stuff that I was going. It's a big change. Yeah, it's staff, they're constantly changing, states. And then just some technical questions like, we do a private cul-de-sac, we're getting more.
It wouldn't be fun.
Yeah, we'll just do it, we'll just also authorize it. We need to be, to do it. It's a lot, it's gonna be a lot. That's what I think.
Did they get that ahead of time?
Maybe we'll do maybe we could do it, try and find time for December. And
Yeah.
so maybe.
That's when it'll be fun.
It's a little bit tougher. All right, that's it.
Wait, I just want to say thank you, Dave. As most of you know, this is his last planning commission with the township. He's moving on to another position. Thank you for all of this hard work, and guidance for this group. We'll miss you.
I appreciate it, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Congrats.
I was gonna do it, at the end, so we can all give them hugs.
No, that was all done last night, so no, I'm just kidding.
No, Dave, seriously, you us. I really enjoyed it.
I'll be back, you'll see me.
All right, with that said, anybody would like to make a motion to adjourn? We have a second. On favor? Opposed? Adjourned.